Hello, welcome to this video on motivational interviewing, also known as MI. MI is an effective evidence-based counselling approach applicable to a wide range of psychological, behavioural and physical health issues. Psychologists use MI as a guiding style for working with clients, and in this video we're applying MI specifically to client motivation for long-term exercise adherence. MI is defined not by technique but rather by its spirit, as a facilitative style for interpersonal relationships. Basically, it's a way of engaging with clients in a respectful way to facilitate long-term behavioural change. Important elements already used in psychology are uniquely combined with MI for better patient outcomes. For instance, MI uses the four basic principles known as the rule principles. The acronyms in rule mean resisting the writing reflex, understanding client motivation, listening with empathy, and empowering the client to make their own choices. Everyone at some point has put off exercising with excuses like not enough time, no energy, too busy with work, etc., even though they know how important exercise is for physical and mental well-being. Oftentimes, fitness coaches, counsellors and psychologists tell their clients what to do and how to do it. The client is then expected to follow that advice. However, change is not easy, and without proper motivation necessary for change, it's often impossible. Ambivalence about change and wanting to change, but being afraid to change at the same time, can lead to feelings of self-doubt, anxiety or even depression. That's where MI comes in. MI helps resolve this ambivalence by eliciting the client's own motivation to change their behaviour. This can be achieved by using the underlying concept of MI, which is known as the spirit of MI. The spirit of MI can be described by four words, which are partnership, acceptance, empathy and evocation. The first word, partnership, in the spirit of MI refers to counsellors working in collaboration with their clients, and the counsellor avoids being an authoritarian or a person of power, thereby resisting the writing reflex as in the rule principle. The second word, acceptance, is the counsellor respecting the autonomy of their clients to make the right decisions about their own lives by seeing the world through their clients' eyes, again incorporating the second acronym of the rule principle, understanding the client's motivation. The third word is empathy, whereby the counsellor keeps the client's best interests in mind by listening to the client. This is also using the L in the rule principle, listening with empathy. And the last word, evocation, which is the belief that the best ideas concerning change come from the clients themselves, thereby incorporating the last acronym in the rule principle, E, for empowerment. Empowering clients to make their own decisions. Invoking clients to change their behaviour for a healthy way of living can help prevent conditions that go hand in hand with a sedentary lifestyle, like being overweight, high blood pressure, osteoporosis, depression and so on. Along with the spirit of MI and using the rule principles, there are four core skills required. These core skills are key to successful motivational interviewing and are referred to in counselling as OARs. The first letter of OARs stands for open-ended questions. For example, do you exercise is a closed question, whereas something like, what advantages do you see in exercising? That's an open-ended question requiring more of a discussion. MI asks more open questions, and this encourages clients to discuss what's on their mind, adverse to what's on the counsellor's mind. The second letter in OARs refers to affirmations. Affirmations are simply positive statements that the counsellor makes about what the client has mentioned, such as the client might say, I used to run 16 k's a day before I had the kids and I was 10 kilograms lighter and very fit. This can be possibly affirmed by the counsellor by saying, I understand you care deeply for your children and coming here today took a lot of courage. Knowing there's a lot of hard work to do, but having achieved this level of commitment in the past shows you've been very successful. Having this kind of dialogue with the client builds self-confidence and a sense of self-efficacy for the client. The third letter of OARS stands for reflective listening. This may possibly be the most important skill in MI. Reflections are simply listening and understanding what the client is thinking and feeling, and then reiterating it back to them as reflection to statements, not questions. For example, a client saying, "I don't care about what the doctor said, I don't think I'm overweight." And a reflection might be, "You're not sure about the diagnosis your GP gave you of morbid obesity." And the client says, "Yeah, I've been the same size since high school," and the counsellor might reflect and say, "So, being that size and weight you are now is quite normal to you and you don't see any downside." And the client might say, "Well, sometimes getting in and out of the car is hard and I don't have the energy I used to, but I'm too tired to exercise." A reflection by the counsellor might be, "So, being more active and having better mobility and more energy are things you'd like to change." This is how MI uses reflections to express empathy and see the world through the client's eyes. The final step in Oz is summarising. Summaries are purely lengthy reflections. For example, a client is thinking about going to the gym, but she's at the ambivalent stage and she's making arguments for going and not going at the same time. So she might say something like, "I want to join the gym, but I like having a wine after work with my girlfriends. I don't want to miss out, but I'm worried about drinking too much every day and it's making me gain weight." So the counsellor might summarise saying, "If I understand you correctly, you've been thinking of going to the gym, but the downside is travelling and not seeing your friends. But if you do join the gym with your other friend, you'd be fit, lose weight, and you wouldn't be drinking as much either." Here the counsellor strategically guides the client towards a healthy behaviour change by selectively summarising the client's very own reasons for change. As well as the 4 core skills of OARS, MI also uses sequential processes, which are engaging, focusing, evoking and planning. Engaging with the client entails building trust and a mutual respect, really connecting in a respectful way. One of the ways to do this is to avoid the assessment trap. By that I mean to avoid asking lots of questions straight away. This may put your client off and it's not really engaging with the client. Also, you want to avoid telling the client what to do and how to fix all their problems. And also, don't label the client before they've had a chance to engage with you. You can engage with the client by making them feel welcome and making them feel comfortable. And don't make any judgments. Welcome them by shaking their hand, getting their name right and being warm and friendly and not in a hurry. But most importantly, whilst engaging, be understanding. If you do this, the client should leave feeling hopeful. And once you have engaged with the client, the second sequential process in MI is focusing. Focusing is defined as seeking and maintaining direction. Focusing involves deciding on a program or an agenda, considering the client's priorities and goals and the counsellor's priorities and goals, and creating a clear direction for developing a plan for behavioural change. The counsellor accomplishes this by listening carefully to the client using the basic OARS skills. Then the third process in MI is evoking. Evoking is defined as listening to the client's own motivations for change, and what's being evoked here is change talk. Change talk is described as conversation leaning towards the client expressing a wish for change. "I want to change. I wish I could. I would give anything to change. If I could change, that would solve all my issues," and so on. The more the client involves themselves in change talk, the more likely they are to change. If the client is not expressing change talk, the counsellor may ask questions to generate change talk. Something like, "What would be the benefit of exercise as far as you're concerned?" Or, "How might you go about introducing exercise in your life?" Or, "What are the reasons that motivate you to exercise?" and so on. All of these would generate change talk, responses from the client which would be encouraged. The fourth and final process of MI is planning. Planning is defined as the act or process of making or carrying out plans, and the client agrees to execute that plan. Using the 4 basic OARS skills, the counsellor has already engaged the client, focused on a particular topic to elicit change talk, And within that change talk, the client not only sees reasons for change, but also the benefits that would follow if they were to make changes. Not only that, the client would also see ways to make change for long-term success. The planning stage is a process of going from general concepts to developing a specific plan. A plan that is agreeable, measurable and achievable. Once you have a plan in place for the client, end the session by expressing appreciation by saying something like, "Thank you for coming in today and working so hard on achieving your exercise goals. It's been a great session and we've achieved a great deal. I'm sure you'll be successful in achieving your goals to live a healthier life based on the decisions you've made today. Going forward, I'm here if you need me. In the meantime, all the very best of luck to you." Hopefully this introduction video to MI for exercise adherence has been of interest to you and explained what MI is and how it could be useful for making changes to get people moving and keep them moving long term. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.